Hello peeps, this is Tango and welcome back to Tango's World Effects. Today I will be continuing two sides of the same coin. Old. Chapter 4. Bakugo held his breath for most of class. Ectoplasm didn't seem to mind the typing in the back of the room, or the fact that he had an uncharted student in the room, but the teacher did decide to call on the poor boy, which made Bakugo nearly explode his pen. The boy merely shouted, "The square root of 54 minus 9 times A," and returned back to typing. The teacher gaped, and Ida looked astounded. "You have been typing this whole time. How in the world are you so easily doing this work?" the class president shouted. "I memorized your entire textbook 3 years ago. It's quite easy material," was the reply, still not stopping the typing. Suddenly, a ding was heard from a phone. Ectoplasm moved his cloak around and found his phone. "Did you hack the teacher chat?" Ectoplasm shouted, the kid answering yes. Mina jumped up from her seat, wanting to see the tea the teachers had. Midoriya closed his laptop when she approached, slightly tensing up. "Oi, leave him alone and do your math, alien," Bakugo shouted as he stood up. Midoriya had leapt up and handed the laptop and book to him. "I'm going back to Nezu. Bye, Kachan," he signed quickly. Well, it wasn't his name he signed. It was the sign for explosion 3 times. As Boom Boy returned to his desk, stuffing the book and laptop into his bag, Ectoplasm had stopped questioning the floof and continued teaching the class. Bakugo sighed, hoping his friend was okay. He wasn't the same after Auntie had died, and he would never be the same again. Bakugo scratched out a few answers, just writing as quickly as possible. He hadn't noticed the classroom door was open and a figure approached the front. "Hello, Class 1A!" All Might boomed. A smile plastered across his face. Bakugo looked up and met his hero's eyes. A scowl filled his face. The hero acted like the class was in attack the day before. The teacher smiled brightly and pushed a button to open up the hero costumes. "Today, we will be going over some basic training. It's mostly for defense, just in case anything happens again." Bakugo wanted to go leave to make sure his friend was okay, but this teacher was one he was looking forward to seeing. As he looked out the window, he saw Midoriya outside climbing a tree. Nezu was nowhere in sight, causing Bakugo to slam his hands on the desk. "That liar!" he screamed while running out the door. All Might catches Bakugo when he started running and tries to calm the boy down. Bakugo tries to run from him, but eventually Midnight knocks him out. Once he woke up in the nurse's office, "Oi, why am I here?" he yelled, the nurse turning around in her chair. "Midnight had to knock you out. You kept yelling about someone being a liar. How are you feeling?" the nurse asked while handing him some gummies. Bakugo groaned and got up to leave without telling her anything. A bell rang throughout the school, and Bakugo asked which bell that was. "You can go home now. That was the last one." "Have a good day, Bakugo-kun," the nurse said, turning back to her desk. Bakugo groaned again, stomping out of the nurse's office. He didn't remember who he was calling a liar, but he didn't care anymore. He let out a long yawn as he approached the school gate, seeing a few teachers sweeping the school for students. From the corner of his eye, he saw a blur of green. "Oi, Deku! Did you stay behind today?" he shouted. A shout was heard as a response. Yeah, I did." He turned in the direction, and it was a form. Seeing Midoriya weaving flowers in his hands, running down the stairs. "Oi, be careful," he started to shout, but Midoriya had already started to trip. He saw a light gray scarf wrapped around the boy's shoulders, making the teen wince. Bakugo rushed forward to see the small teen straight. Making sure to avoid the scarf, he looked up as Aizawa-sensei approached the pair. Midoriya felt his throat close up as the scarf was wrapped around him. Another person might have just heard his voice, the high-pitched, too feminine, stuttering voice. He felt Bakugo reaching him and immediately latched on. He heard the mumbling of a discussion, but he couldn't understand. It started to freak him out. He didn't like people hearing his voice. He didn't like being trapped and tied up, and he definitely didn't like having a panic attack in front of people. But that was all happening now. He saw blurs of gray, black, dusky yellow, and purple? The tears hid his eyes as he started to pull at the thing around him. He kept pulling on it until he heard his friend's voice. Deku, stop struggling against the cloth, okay? It's there to give you something to hold on to. Midoriya blinked the tears from his eyes, grasping for his friend's hand. Izuku-kun, can you find my voice? Someone said, grabbing onto his hands. The hands that held him were soft and gray. He nodded his head, still trembling as he felt the hands let go of. Good. Now, are you scared of the fact that someone heard your voice? He asked while rubbing his back. Midoriya shifted uncomfortably and started to sign. Yes, someone not to be trusted heard it. They will be mean and punish me. He concealed a sob while hiding his face in his hair and legs. It's okay. They won't do anything to you. Now, how about you stay at the school? I don't think you should go home on your own right now, Izuku-kun. There it was. Nezu was the one comforting him and trying to have him stay at home. He shook his head and started to stand up. I'll be fine. I just want to go home. Midoriya took a deep breath as he signed. Nezu sighed next to him, standing up and swiping on his pants. Kid, let me take you home. It's my fault for this, and I have a car, someone said from behind him. Midoriya spun on his heel to look at the man. And holy shoot, that was Class 1A's homeroom teacher. He jumped slightly, falling onto his friend, who growled, causing him to jump up again. Sorry, Deku, but Aizawa-sensei, he won't be going with you. I can bring him to my house since his mother was a great friend with my family. Let me drop you off at your house then. Midoriya felt his heart quicken, and he started frantically signing, Neither of you need to do that. I'm fine on my own now, so goodbye. Ending with a quick bow and running out of the gates. Apparently, running every night was great for him, as when he turned the corner, he saw his teacher still at the gate. Midoriya continued booking it, before running straight into someone. He let out a small whimper as his shoulder collided with the sidewalk. He groaned as he took out his phone and opened the notes app to quickly type an apology. As he looked up to turn the phone, he saw the kid from 1A. Oh, you're Nezu's student, the kid said monotonely, reaching out a hand from where he stood. Apparently, Midoriya didn't even knock the kid down upon collision, which mildly impressed him. He stood up on his own, showing the kid his apology, who nodded in acceptance and stretched so that he could keep running. Hey, where in the world do you think you're going so quickly? The boy asked, quirking an eyebrow. Midoriya had started to sign, but stopped upon realizing the boy probably didn't know it. The hell does... Sorry, I have to go home before I... mean? The purple-haired boy asked, tilting his head. Midoriya perked up and started to continue his sentence. I have to go home. Sorry, that's vague, but I don't need a stranger knowing my problems. The kid sighed and looked at him. Whatever. Bye. He groaned while the smaller sent a happy wave. The all-knowing brat. Hello, teachers of UA. The all-knowing rat. Ectoplasm wasn't lying about you, huh, kiddo? Pencil topper. Why is there a child? Cockatiel. Hey, buddy, how'd you get in here? The all-knowing brat. Hacked it. Multiplication. Didn't I kick you? The all-knowing brat. Yeah, that wasn't very nice. The all-knowing rat. Midoriya, where are you right now? Pencil topper. And why did you run? And how are you so fast? The all-knowing brat. I'm at my apartment, and because I like going zoom. The all-knowing rat. It has been 26 minutes, and you are already home? Zoom zoom. Ooh, have I taught you the good zoom? Pencil topper. No way you taught him to be that fast. The all-knowing brat. He didn't. I can run really fast because I got chased a lot as a kiddo. The all-knowing rat. Who? The all-knowing brat. Anyways, I'm leaving now. This is boring. Bye-bye. The all-knowing brat has left the chat room. Kinky Winky. Who was that, and why was I muted? The all-knowing rat. A child, Nemuri. Pencil topper. A child who yeeted himself across towns. Cockatiel has changed their name to Pencil. Zoom zoom. I was wondering when you were going to change it back. The all-knowing rat. Change it back by tomorrow, as that is when I'm going to test that child's hacking skills. Pencil topper. He was doing brainfuck coding when I checked up on him. The all-knowing rat. Again, I was wondering what he was making. The all-knowing rat. Never mind, he sent me it. Zoom zoom. What is it? The all-knowing rat. Formulas on different poisons. At least that's what he said. Pencil. What? Kinky Winky. What kind of poison? The all-knowing rat. Sedatives, basically making a stronger version of your quirk. Pencil topper. I'm done. Don't let him near any of my students. He might kidnap them or something. The all-knowing rat. He won't. Plus, I made an agreement that if he would befriend some of them, that I would wear one of his flower crowns. Pencil topper. Am I allowed to quit? God. No, you're one of the only sane ones here. Kinky Winky. Power Loader is sane? Metatron. Bold of you to assume that. Pencil. You Wabashoda. Pencil topper. Perish. Midoriya glided across the rooftops, his now black hair stuck against his forehead from the wind. He held a sigh of relief while looking up at the sky. A small buzz came from his phone, a time indicating it was 2:30 a.m. He knew he didn't have to be a vigilante, that he didn't have to balance two lives, but he loved it. He loved how when he wore his hoodie, it had once been of one of his favorite heroes, but that was gone. Now this hoodie meant that he didn't have to be scared, that he didn't have to be anxious about people hearing his voice. He started adjusting the scarf around his neck. That hadn't been able to fix his mask yet, so he hit his face with a green scarf. He ended up feeling around his head for his ears. They had once mimicked All Might's hair, but the dream of being like him was long gone. He kept the extra bunch of fabric by the sides of his ears, never having the heart to completely remove something from the jacket. He remembered when he bought the jacket, 2 others bought with it. He was so happy he got 3 of them, and this happiness was soon to be crushed when All Might tore his hero dream down. And All Might would never know the fact that he is the person he told he could not be a hero, and that now he was a vigilante. He felt his grip on the ears tighten. The ends were still flapping in the wind. He let out a sigh and brought his hands into his pockets. Bunny leaped across the roof, quickly jumping while still being as silent as possible, before spotting a person on a roof diagonal from him. He felt his eyes widen as he realized the figure. It was Eraserhead again. He silently made his way over and perched on top of an AC unit. Aren't you supposed to be resting, Eraser? He asked, his voice sounding completely different from earlier today. The pro spun around and glared. What the hell? Why do you keep finding me? He growled, sending a capture weapon at the vigilante. Yikes, you are way slower. I think you should rest, so off to your house we go, he chirped, pulling the capture scarf around Eraserhead, effectively trapping him. What the hell are you doing? The pro asked, slightly struggling against his own capture weapon. Trying to make sure that you won't get injured further. Now stop moving, it makes it much harder to carry you, he replied while jumping with the pro in his arms. Ugh, whatever, you're so confusing. The pro groaned. Bunny hit a giggle, running quickly on the rooftops. I try, and aren't you going to question me while I have you? Bunny taunted. Why are you helping me? The pro asked eventually. Bunny hummed for a second before thinking of an answer. It's what heroes are supposed to do. But some would rather destroy a villain than save a civilian. You, however, he booped Aizawa's bandaged nose, are not like that. You help people with as much power as you can and put your students' lives before your own. I admire you, and I don't want to see you get hurt. The vigilante's sentence trailed off as he leapt onto the balcony. Anyways, I think you live at this house, right? Oh, fuck it. I could just bring you to the street, the boy said, ducking under a roof and placing Eraser at his doorstep. How old are you? Eraser asked the vigilante before he turned away. Eraser observed the kid as he toyed with the scarf, seemingly nervous about answering. Old enough to know that this world is a jerk. Eraser tried to reach out and grab the vigilante, but they had already jumped onto the roof and sped off into the night. He groaned, pounding his head against the door lightly. His husband soon came out and berated him for a second for trying to go on patrol, even though both the government and his family denied it. As he walked past his husband, he noticed a glimmer of light from his son's room. He knocked on it twice before hearing a groggy "come in" as he opened the door. He saw his son at his desk practicing English and wearing a dark purple cat hoodie blanket with the fluffy black cat called Bowtie on his lap. "Can't sleep again?" Aizawa asked while sitting on the bed. Shinzo turned his chair around and looked at his foster dad. "Yeah, but it's not insomnia. I keep thinking about how weird that boy is." He groaned in his hoodie and slipped it off his head as he leaned back. Aizawa raised an eyebrow, asking for an explanation. "Nezu's student ran into me today. I mean, literally ran into me. He managed to knock himself down onto the ground, and he was frantic and nervous with his movements, and he just seemed so off. Emotionally, I mean," Shinzo said, resting his hand on his chin, mildly thinking of the boy. Aizawa nodded and stood up. His file was weird as hell. He also hacked into the teacher's chat, so that was weird. He made a bet with Nezu that if he was able to befriend someone other than Bakugo, that Nezu would have to wear a flower crown. Aizawa walked to the door as Shinzo picked up the flower crown on his desk. He saw his son slide a finger on one of the rose petals, and he sighed and put it back on his desk. Okay, that is the end of the chapter. I hope you all enjoyed that. I did. I really liked it. I'm just tired because that was really uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. I was sitting in a really weird position because I don't know, because I didn't want to move because it would have made a lot of sound on the recording. Anyways. Sorry for late updates. My shows just finished weekend time. Yeah. The shows went great. I was super happy. I'm Katie Heron. Let's go. Yay! I'm in love with Aaron, guys. Isn't that insane though? What? No. It was fun. So great. Just so great. I really like this fic. I love, as I've said in the past, I love the flower crown thing. I just think it's so adorable. Anyways. Oh my gosh, does anyone like Sherlock Holmes? I love Sherlock Holmes. Oh, also I've been getting back into Toilet Bound Hanako-kun again. So I want to see if I can find any good fics to record, but I just I looked a while ago, and I remember there wasn't really any fics that I could really read because most of them weren't they didn't make much sense or if not, there was a lot of one-shots, which I'm fine with one-shots, but I do want to find a longer fic if I can. But anyways, so that's great. So this has been fun. 18 minutes long, it's not that bad. I'm gonna go on to the next chapter, but let me know what you thought of this chapter. I thought it was great. I love the Shinzo bit. I love that he is no, I'm not it's not insomnia this time. It's just me thinking about this kid that I ran into again, this Nezu student, and I don't know why I'm thinking about him. And I mean, I've gotten that before, so I understand that feeling. So I feel that's just something that people can relate to. Maybe not. Maybe that's just a me thing. But I'm pretty sure people can relate to that. I do think it's a little bit unrealistic that he would be able to lift Aizawa and bring him all the way to his house. But, it is a different universe, so who knows? And, I mean, Izuku did carry All Might and, a car and a bunch of other things when he was training before, and I'm pretty sure I forgot because I have memory problems. So, I think that he is still very strong and all that stuff. I don't remember. I can't believe I already forgot. It's been a few days, okay? Anyways. Okay, love y'alls. I hope to hear from you soon. What the heck? I just turned into some random other person. What? Okay, I'm just gonna go to the next chapter. Okay. Love y'alls. Okay, see you later. This is Tango signing off. Bye.